Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the graveyard shift. It's been a long day. I see a lot of weary faces. I'm going to try my best not to look weary as well. I want to start with a question for all the retailers in the room. Are there any retailers in the room? Hands? Ooh, yeah, we got some retailers. Good. Okay. The question is, when does the customer journey end? Is it when I've bought my item? No. Is it when my item has arrived with me? No one's looking particularly confident. Maybe when I've actually used it for the first time, or even the last time. Is anyone here an Amazon Prime subscriber? Okay, that's at least 15, 20 people. Does anyone remember when they signed up? Go on, shout. I want to, how many years have you been a subscriber? Sorry? 9 months, okay. I'm on 8 years. Anyone beating 8 years? 4 years? Okay, I did something in preparation for today that I strongly suggest you never do. I went onto the Amazon order history and I counted up how many things I've bought on Amazon. Okay, Prime was released in 2005. I signed up in 2011. It's now 2019. Anyone else know their number? Okay, I bought 239 things on Amazon. Now, tell me, when does the customer journey end? It doesn't end, right? It's a cycle. Now, the first shop, sorry, there's a bit of a history detour here. The first shop in the UK that still exists is roughly dating to the period of Henry V, okay? It's a village shop in Suffolk. And we've had shopping malls for quite a while as well, so talking 17th, 18th century. Trying to find the first department store, a little bit difficult because everyone seems to claim to be the first department store. So we've got 1707 for Fortnum & Mason's, or a couple of other dates there. Harry Selfridge began his London store in 1909. Does anyone remember when eCommerce started? Just go on, think. We needed the internet. Anyone remember when the internet started? 1991. So the first e-commerce store was kind of 91, 92, but we had Amazon in 95. And since then, it's really been a period of flux. There's been a lot of change. So we've had shops for 500 years, but we've had online retail for 27 years. Yet the entire landscape is different. We've seen a kind of ubiquitous adoption for next-day delivery. Okay, I think that's quite Prime-driven, but now we expect it all the time. Now, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that wasn't the case. We've got marketplaces. You can buy the same item from the manufacturer, or now from ASOS, from Zalando, from Clothing, from Amazon, from eBay. Okay, so there are a lot of shifts that we're seeing. And brand loyalty, which was once extremely important for consumers, is really changing. Brand loyalty was about consumers being able to shop from retailers that they knew they could trust. But we live in the information age. Okay? So you've got everything at your fingertips. You've got data on everything. You can read blogs, reviews. And actually, this means that we're kind of in an age when the trust gap between big brands and challengers is really diminishing. So consumers are no longer afraid to look for alternatives. Brand loyalty has changed. I find myself choosing, over a trustworthy brand name, choosing a favorable returns policy or easy next-day shipping options. Maybe I'm looking for a different way to pay or finance my purchase. What we're seeing is brand loyalty becoming experience loyalty. And this shift from brand loyalty to experience loyalty means that retailers are really fighting for the attention and the engagement of their customers. And they have to fight. because today's customers are actually far more engaged through their smartphones, through social media, than yesterday's consumers ever could have been. So as a retailer, how do you maximize customer experience and customer engagement in your customers' journeys? How do you actually remain competitive in what's becoming an experience-first landscape? Now, if you're a retailer, you have a gap in your customer experience. You have a gap. And that gap sits squarely in the most emotional part of the customer journey. The stakes are high, right? A customer is about to invest in you. Okay, they've decided they're going to spend. They've entered their card details. All the barriers that did exist to prevent that person buying from you have been eroded. This could go really, really well, right? Because they're not just a customer. They've got friends, and friends with similar interests and similar buying habits. So if this goes well for them, they're not just your customer, but they're actually going to become a brand advocate. But this could also go really, really badly, because customers have emotions and they have feelings, and when things go wrong, they're capable of tearing apart your brand within their friendship group, one terrible delivery experience at a time. So you must all buy things online. Do you buy things online? Nodding? No? Yeah, mostly yes. Does anyone else buy things online that they really, really, really don't need? Okay. Because what I'm about to tell you is entirely true. The whole story, end to end. So I'm glad I've got some allies here today. Would any of you go ice skating in the pre-Christmas period? You're feeling rather festive, and you think, you know what? What I need to get to the next level is my own pair of ice skates. Nobody? Okay, just me. Right. It's December, and it's a Monday night, and I spent a lot of time researching the skates that I want to get. And 11:30 p.m., that's kind of when I do my my sort of danger browsing. I'm armed with my laptop, the internet, the ability to remember my card number without having to check. I'm about to become my own worst enemy. And I entered a period of research. By 1 a.m., I knew which skates I was going to buy. I'd done all the comparison. I'd come out with my winner. I even chucked in pre-sharpening, which is apparently very important if you buy your own ice skates. And I get to the checkout, and I see next day delivery. I think, yeah, I'll pay extra for that. Because on Wednesday, bearing in mind it's 1 a.m. on Monday, so next day is Wednesday. On Wednesday, I'm going ice skating with my colleagues at 7 p.m. And what better way to show off? Well, I'd also, in an unrelated spending spree, bought some clothes for my girlfriend, and they were also due to arrive on Wednesday. So I got 2 packages on Wednesday, but I think this is going to be fine. I'm capable of receiving 2 packages on Wednesday. We fast forward to Wednesday. Today's the day that I will hopefully be going ice skating with my new skates. And I just want to remind you that the experiences I've had, okay? So the first one I get from this wonderful company, Skate Hut. It's actually really difficult to buy ice skates on Amazon with next day delivery. So I ended up with these fantastic folks. And I had a good buying experience online. Really enjoyed it. I got my girlfriend's clothes from a different company called Missy Empire. And they have a different brand look and feel. Okay, so you can see how at this stage I was thinking, yeah, this will be fine. How could I possibly get these 2 orders confused in some sort of terrible delivery-related muddle? Until I get my first dispatch notification. Looks like this. I think, yeah, that's fine. I'm happy for Yodel to deliver my parcel. And I get my second one, which looks like this. Okay, so as you can probably tell where this is going, but it should be fine. They've got the whole day to deliver these items. Christmas is 6 days away. I don't need my girlfriend's Christmas present today. It's just the ice skates. Wednesday morning comes. I hear nothing all morning. As you can tell at this stage, I'm working very hard and not spending all of my time on the Yodel tracking page, trying to work out whether the dots are moving closer or further away from my office. And the afternoon was pretty quiet as well. I start to get more and more nervous until at 12 minutes past 4, I received this. Your parcel is delayed. Can somebody please tell me which parcel is delayed? Okay, you're all looking very blank. I'll give you a clue. It was impossible to find out, and I know because I spent the whole afternoon trying, okay? There's no tracking number in here. I go to track my order. The page looks the same as the other page. I'm starting to think this is impossible. I'm going ice skating in 2.5 hours. What am I going to do if my skates don't arrive? And to be honest, I thought all hope was lost. I really did. I thought it's over until, from my window seat in the office, I looked into the car park and I saw the Yodel van swing into the car park and I thought, yeah, this is good. So I run downstairs and I say, don't worry, office manager, I will sign for these parcels. And I literally ran out into the car park, greeted the guy like it was his birthday, and he was looking a bit confused to see me. He puts the parcels in my hand, I sign for it, and I look down and I see this. Cinderella will not go to the ball. That night, I did not receive my ice skates. I had to go ice skating because I'd already booked and rent them like everyone else. It was a complete disaster. And when eventually a couple of one failed delivery attempt later, they did make their way to me, the unboxing moment just didn't feel the same. It just kind of tainted my experience. Now, I think that story, although a little bit ridiculous, probably resonates with a few people because I'm not the only consumer who's had a delivery experience that didn't go quite how I hoped it would. And it's kind of odd because today's online shopping experiences are generally amazing. So you've got sophisticated personalization. You're able to choose real convenience through click and collect, different shipping options. You've got payment options that allow you to buy now or even pay for it later. But actually, at the moment that you press the buy button, a lot of times the retailer effectively says goodbye. That whole experience stops. Because retailers are taking their most valuable asset, that customer contact, and then they're handing it over to your third-party logistics providers. They're doing this at the single most emotional part of the journey. So customers have broken down all the barriers to buying, and then suddenly, goodbye. Now, if that sounds like something that you see in a lot of retailers, that's because pretty much everyone's doing it. We conducted a shipping analysis of 100 leading UK retailers, and we found that 89% of them were saying goodbye to their customers as soon as they'd purchased. We found 7% of them were saying something generic during delivery. Maybe they were giving them a note when the parcel had actually been successfully delivered, and only 4% of the top 100 UK retailers were actually giving their customers personalised communication during delivery. These are the UK's leading retailers. So we've been comparing the kind of engagement that we see in normal marketing messaging and in delivery messaging. And the engagement that you can generate with your customers during delivery is simply phenomenal. Because customers are receiving emails that are hyper-relevant, like this one. This is about an IKEA order. It's a delivery success notification. So the parcel has been delivered, and the customer gets this email. It's engaging, it's exciting, but it also has the instructions for how to actually assemble the item that you've purchased. So it's relevant. Now, in a normal marketing email, we see, okay, I took these stats from MailChimp, so I hope they're roughly right. We see in eCommerce an open rate of 15.66%. I don't know if that is in the ballpark of what you're currently experiencing. But when we send messages to consumers during delivery, a time that is extremely important to them, that 15% becomes 61.76%. So over 60% of customers are opening the emails about products they've actually purchased. But I think more impressive than that is the click rate and the change in click rate. 2.08%. That's the industry standard in marketing in e-commerce. When you are communicating with customers during delivery, we're seeing a click rate on average of 40.75%. That is unbelievable. Normal marketing emails simply cannot generate that kind of engagement because there is a really hot period while a customer is receiving their parcel where they are hyper engaged with your business. And if you're wondering where the sort of clickbaity number in the talk came from in the title, this is pretty much over a 1,600% increase in engagement. Okay, it's really powerful. So the question really is, given that consumers are so readily engaging with these touch points, how do we leverage this? Why is this happening, and what do we do about it in the retail space? Well, I think it's important to address the why first. So the first element of this is that this is true personalization. It's not just merging the first name into the email. We're actually talking and referencing items that customers actually purchased. And there's often quite sophisticated segmentation happening at this stage because we know exactly what they've bought. So the cross-sell and the upsell opportunities can be very relevant in a way that sometimes in marketing, until you get that data, they simply can't be. The second reason why we see this engagement is because what we're talking about is based on real events, like events in the real world. So it sounds a bit ridiculous. Receiving a parcel actually takes two to tango. I don't know if you've ever ordered a bed before. If you have, you probably had to be in when it was being delivered. It's a bit difficult to leave on the doorstep. So we're seeing communication about events that actually impact customers, and that is another reason why they're extremely engaged. And the third reason is because these communications are authentic. There's a massive trend in consumer psychology at the moment showing that consumers are hyper alert to being advertised to. They're quite suspicious. They actually know more now than ever when they're being advertised to. But there's nothing particularly opaque about these emails. They're actually notifying people when real logistic events are happening and having a real impact on the customer. And customers really like that transparency. That's really important. So I suppose the next part is then, how can you actually leverage this? How can you use this to improve engagement in your businesses? Well, the first point to this sounds a bit ridiculous, but you just have to understand why it works and then do more of that. So if it resonates with customers to get useful and actionable information delivered to them, then go above and beyond to deliver them more useful information during their buying journey. We see with click and collect parcels. I'm quite a big click and collect customer, and a lot of times I just get a generic message that says your order is ready to collect. I can't remember exactly where the shop was or even necessarily when it's going to be open. So why not push to your customers not just the name of the shop and the address, but the Google Maps integration? Give them the opening hours. Tell them what the parking situation is going to be like nearby, or tell them what the weather's going to be like. You can say, great news, your parcel's ready to collect, but bring an umbrella because it's going to be raining. There's a lot more that you can do in that post-checkout journey to actually engage with your customers. The second part of this is to really leverage personalization. It's just so important. You have a uniquely large amount of information about your customers once they've already bought from you. So if you actually listen to that and use it, then you can really stand out in what is a very busy landscape. Kind of referencing the IKEA example that we saw there, if you're selling an item that requires installation or requires assembly like a bike or a bed or a wardrobe, or even tuition, like applying a particular type of makeup, why not actually reach out to your customers with instructions, with videos, with tutorials? And the third part of this that is just so important is to utilize your own ecosystem. So without discrediting the stats I showed before, your customers' current delivery transactional emails are probably receiving quite a high open and click rate. They're just not your emails. So customers are actually going back to the carrier. If you want to be the brand that they're engaging with throughout this whole journey, then you need to make sure that 40% of customers that are clicking on emails end up back on your site. And that means getting the tracking information embedded in your own ecosystem. Make sure that that's the only resource that they actually need. You can see in this example of what Hugo Boss are doing, when customers are tracking the emails, they end up back in the web shop and they're only a couple of clicks away from purchasing again. So I think even over the space of just the last year, we've seen a huge shift in mindset around this space, around the post-purchase space. We've seen a lot of retailers looking to optimize this. We've seen it become not just a logistics problem, but also a marketing issue. So more businesses are connecting between different departments to try and really address this. And I'm projecting that in probably 3, 4, 5 years, the landscape is going to look very different. In the same way that we had this ubiquitous shift to next day delivery, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, I think almost every retailer will be owning that part of the customer journey. We're extremely excited about what we're doing at parcelLab to support leading retailers in actually creating this transition in the market. And I really hope that the retailers and the brands that are here today will actually be a big part in setting that new baseline for customer engagement. So we are on that stand just over there on the corner. If you have any questions, if you want to ask a bit more detail around any of the things that you've heard, if you want to understand what our platform is, that's basically all I've got to say. Any questions from the audience? Audience questions? Don't know if I'm meant to ask about questions. Does anyone have any obvious questions for the floor? Go on. parcelLab. What is parcelLab? Excellent. I didn't even plant you, but that's an excellent question. parcelLab, we're a post-purchase communications platform. We work with digital retailers. We have direct integrations with carriers, so we can monitor parcels in real time and understand exactly what is happening with them. And on the flip side, we're working with retailers to send white-labeled communications. So the IKEA example that I showed earlier, that actually came from us. It was just entirely white-labeled and effectively sent from IKEA.com. And we also own the tracking element so that retailers can actually have all the tracking information in their own sites. If you've ever had a parcelLab experience, you wouldn't know about it because we're entirely white-labeled. We think that's a really important part of the customer journey we're trying to make. So I hope that answers that. That's kind of what our platform does. Any other questions? Wonderful. Thank you very much.